Good morning. Welcome to DGL Practice Manager's webinar on free electronic prescribing with Pharmacierge. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. It's great to have a mixture of practice teams and consultants on the webinar today. We really hope that you find it beneficial and that you can take some practical information from today's session. And to start things off, I'm going to introduce our panel. First of all, I'm Donal O'Neill, Marketing Manager for Clonwilliam Health, and I'll be emceeing today's webinar. With me, I have Ed Unger, who is the co-founder of Pharmacierge, and Will Basing, who is the Practice Support Manager at Pharmacierge. In order to get the most out of the session, we're going to stick to the agenda, which is as follows. And we're going to do a quick introduction, which is this. Ed is going to provide you with an overview of Pharmacierge, the company, and where they came from and how they got to where they are today. Will look after a functionality demonstration, which will walk you through how to actually use Pharmacierge within DGL Practice Manager, and then finally at the end we'll take questions and answers. So in order to make sure that we cover as much as possible, we'll take questions at the end. But if you do have a question, I'd encourage you all to submit it using the question functionality, which you'll see on the right hand side of your screen. So submit it in there, and we'll do our best to get through as many of your questions as we can. If we don't get through it on the webinar, we will follow up with you individually afterwards if you want to put the question to us via email. I know all of us at Clonwilliam and DGL were very excited to launch this integration with Pharmacierge because we believe that electronic prescriptions will hugely benefit our users. So without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Ed Unger, who will run you through kind of the background on Pharmacierge.
Thanks very much, Donal. As Donal mentioned, my name is Edward Ungar. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Pharmacierge. In addition to being a tech company, we are, of course, a fully fledged pharmacy like you would find on a high street by technical designation. We're entirely independent, and we were founded 10 years ago by two generations of brothers. The brothers senior, one of them founded the doctor's laboratory as well, and the other has founded numerous pharmacies over his very long career. The brothers junior, of which I am one, founded what you now know as Pharmacierge 10 years ago, and in my personal background is also involved spending many years in technology in addition to Pharmacierge at Google and startups. Important for you to know that we serve over 1,000 clinicians, many more in fact, private clinicians, and offer their patients same day or overnight deliveries all over the country, same day deliveries to London postcodes and overnight deliveries everywhere else, and also a number of international countries that we serve for British and international patients. It's also important to understand that every prescription Pharmacierge receives, we receive as the result of a clinician offering a delivery service to their patient and trusting that Pharmacierge will fulfill it in a timely and reliable manner. That's the only way we receive prescriptions and how our business operates. What we do on receiving those prescriptions is then to speak to the patients. Our doctors always include a mobile number with the prescription in order to confirm the delivery address for the patient, the time they would like it delivered, and of course to take payment. So without further ado, I'd really like to get into the guts of the integration with Pharmacierge and DGL, and as a result I'm going to hand over to Will Basing, who is our Practice Support Manager, and he's going to talk you through the registration for Pharmacierge within DGL, and also then of course how to prescribe.
Just to make
Hi,
sure.
hello.
Will,
Hi, hello.
sorry.
Good morning. Oh, sorry.
Just before you start, you need to accept the invitation to share your screen.
Yep, just about to click it.
Perfect. There we go. Thanks.
Great. Good morning, guys. I'm Will, and I'll be taking you through the technical demonstration today. So that will be to how to sign your practice up as a clinic, and then how to sign if you're a practice manager up as a practice manager administrative user, or doctors as a prescribing user. So without further ado, hopefully when you've been using DGL recently, you have noticed this blue box at the bottom center of your screen. Now this box enables you to register your clinic and to register your practice. For a little bit, the sign up form can be accessed by clicking here, and that clinic form will look like this. This information will not appear in the prescription. This will just be information for us to contact you, to know a little bit about you. So then we call you up and we talk you through the process and give any questions you might have an answer to there. And this could be reached down the bottom, just hit add clinic, and then we get the details from that. And then we're able to contact you and then go more through the steps of the process, etc. Now, if I click away from this, once that's done, you receive an email from us that enables you to sign up as a user. This can be reached once again by clicking this button at the bottom center of the screen, and this will come up with our user sign up form. Now, the first button you'll see is the username. You won't need to create anything, that's automatically created for you, and you won't have to remember that username. The user type is the first thing you'll have to select. It'll be the non-prescribing or prescribing. The only difference between the two accounts is that prescribing users can authorize a prescription, but both non-prescribing and prescribing users can create a prescription. And I'll demonstrate that later on in more detail. So if I click prescribing, what will come up differently is not the password, but the GMC number to put in for us to verify, and then the authorization PIN. This PIN is what gives you the authority to prescribe and is what allows the paperless process, which we'll be able to show you later. Inside here, you've got the address details. This is the information which will appear on the prescription, but don't worry, if you make a mistake and you notice that later on, it is something that we can change, and that really is no worries at all. Down below here, you've got the terms of business. I will mention, you do need to scroll all the way down to enable you to hit the agree to terms of business button around here. And then once everything is complete, the add a user button will become highlighted there. So if I cancel this process, and now to save you having to see our verification process, I'm just going to change user. So there are multiple ways which you can actually create a prescription and get access to that. And I'll be more than delighted to go through in greater detail on that later on if anybody's got any questions about that. But the easiest way to actually create a prescription is inside patient details itself. So if I go to patient details now, and if I select a patient, for this one, we do have all the information in, and as Ed mentioned, we do require the mobile phone number and the patient address so that we can confirm where they would like it, and if they would like it sent to a different address, that's where we do that process then. So right at the bottom, you may have noticed a Create e-prescription button. So once that's clicked, it takes you through to this screen. And on this screen, there's a couple features I'd like to draw your attention to. If you've got multiple doctors in your practice, you can select a different doctor, which is filled out for. And then you can also change the patient here. But I will now click Add Prescription. This will take us through to the screen where you can actually create the medication itself. And then I'll show you some more features about that. So this medication box is linked to a medications compendium. So if I start typing Estradot, it'll come up with different options. If I get the 25 microgram patches, you've got some available pack sizes here. However, the easiest thing to do is to put 1 in the supply quantity and then put 3 months supply. And then from this information, our pharmacist and our pharmacy team will correctly create the right amount of medication for what you have prescribed here. And then for this one, we'll have no repeats. And this adds the medication to below. Before I explain the information below here, I'd like to show you if something does actually not appear in our database, if there's a dosage which is unusual, but you'd still like to put in. For example, if I type in test 40, all you need to do is hit add new, and then that will take you through that whole process there, and you can add it directly to the database. So down below, we've got script comments. This is where you want to put any information relating to the whole of the prescription or any questions or queries which you would like the pharmacist to know about. It can also be used to put in the word urgent. And this will alert the pharmacy that this medication needs to be dealt with faster. So a good example of this would be antibiotics for children or any severe painkillers for any patients who really need their painkillers as quickly as possible. Below here, we've got the information where you can double check what you've prescribed, the medication itself, the quantity, the instruction for the pharmacist for how you'd like it to be made up, and any repeats. And then you'll see 3 blue boxes here. The fact box, once clicked, links to the medication information, which goes directly inside the box of medication itself, which the patient receives. And then the BNF and the BNFC link to the medications page on their database. So you can look up any contraindications or any other information you would like to find out about the medication. However, even though you can add as many different pieces about as many different medications as possible to this, I will quickly click the fact sheet so you can have a quick look at what that looks like, and then we'll move forward with how to submit the prescription for review. So in here, yep, all the general information, and that just gives you that little bit of help there. So if I hit submit script, and then I hit submit prescription, this will take us through to the review page. And this review page is where the differences are highlighted between a non-prescribing and a prescribing user. So at the top here, you've got the information on the prescription itself. The prescription is not seen by the patient, it's only seen by us and yourself. However, just so you know, you can scroll down, have a final review. It's got the reference number for the prescription, meaning that you can, if you need to, or you want to double check something, you think you might have done something wrong on the prescription, you can just ring us up, quote the reference number, and then we'll be able to find that prescription efficiently for you. Below here, you've got the patient's mobile number, which we do take directly from the database. However, if the patient is elderly or there's a child and you would like to change the number for the patient to be contacted on, all you need to do is hit backspace and then type in the new number there. Now below here is where we've got the difference for the prescribing and the non-prescribing users. For the doctors listening, if you want to directly authorize a prescription, all you need to do is type in your PIN and then you hit I authorize this prescription. So if I go ahead and do that now, what this will do is it's sending it to us securely, and then it will receive it, and then we'll be able to review and then contact the patient and organize payment and delivery. So if I click tick, before I click the tick here, if you see this button, doctor to authorize later, if you click that, it sends it to a queue. And what I'll do now is I'll show you where that queue is located. So the queue is located in the top left patient menu. You then go to Pharmacierge e-prescribe, and then it's the middle option. Before we go there, I'd like to draw your attention to the top one, another place where you can add and create a prescription. And then below is where you can see all the prescriptions you've ever done inside the Pharmacierge, and then download them for a CSV or review them online, which is useful for a CQC review, or if you just would like to see what you've been prescribing. However, if I go to the queue of prescriptions requiring authorization, and you can see we've had some setup here already. So if a practice manager or a non-prescribing user creates a prescription and wants to send it for the doctor to authorize later, she'll hit doctor to authorize later, and this is where it'll end up. So the doctor can come around, either click on it, double click to have a quick review of what's been prescribed, or to authorize, they click on it once and then hit authorize prescription, and it takes you back to this screen here. So if I doctor data and do notify. A quick few notes, once the prescription has been authorized, it automatically gets added to patient notes, correspondence, and the electronic patient record. Donald, that finishes the technical aspect of the demonstration.